Welcome back to TarHeelIllustrated.com. It is time for another three things from North Carolina's 90-62 win over Wagner in the first round of the NCAA tournament here at Spectrum Center in Charlotte. I'm flying solo with you guys because Jacob Turner is en route and Chelsea Sipple has something else she has to do. It's family deal, so it took her away from this video. I did think about having Kevin Roy do it, but I wouldn't subject you guys to that. Kevin's better off behind the scenes. All right, let's get down to it. Three things from Carolina's win over Wagner. The first thing, Jaylen Withers. You guys, I'll tell you what, this dude is an unbelievable athlete. Everybody has known that, but in the last few weeks, the production, consistent production, has started to meet his athletic ability and the bounce and the energy he gives the team. And when he does produce all that stuff, all that hair flailing around, as Seth Trimble said, and all those things that he can do, the live wire stuff becomes even more infectious. It helps the team even more. If you recall, the first half at Duke, some of those putbacks, those tip-ins that he had really infused the Tar Heels. But he was at it again today. He had 10 points in the first half, finished with 16 points and 10 rebounds. And I'll tell you guys, in the last 5 games, he has 35 rebounds. A bunch of them are offensive rebounds, and a bunch of them have led directly to scores, or he's been fouled and he's gone to the free throw line and scored. If the Tar Heels advance out of this weekend, I'm going to spend some time next week taking a long look. I don't want this table to bounce here. Take a long look at how many of his points over the last 3 weeks and maybe 4 weeks have been on the offensive glass. He did have an alley-oop dunk in the second half today from Elliot Cadeau after he started he got the run out started with a defensive play, blocked a shot. It filled the lane nicely, and Elliott rewarded him with an alley-oop and a slam. And I asked Jaylen, I said, is there a code that you guys have? Reward the guy who made the defensive play if he can get down the court and take advantage of it. And he started smiling and said, absolutely. So Elliott did reward him. That was a good moment for this team, especially considering he missed a flush earlier when he was fouled. Armando missed a flush today when he was fouled and all that stuff. So Jaylen Withers, also, in the last 5 games, he got the 35 rebounds and he's got 32 points. Those are good numbers for a guy coming off the bench. He played 21 minutes today. This was his high-scoring game at UNC, surpassing the game against Louisville, which was also his only other double-double of the season. And he did it on both ends. And, guys, he also played the 5 spot. I asked him about that, and he had a big smile. And he said, look, we may need me to play the 5 every once in a while. And I asked Armando about Jaylen playing the 5, and he said the same thing. We may need him to play the 5 every once in a while. So he did a nice job on both ends of the floor, got all over the glass, ran the court. When all that bounce and all that live wire stuff is met with production, it takes his team to another place. And that's certainly what happened in today's game. And when he really got it going early was actually when the Tar Heels needed, they were kind of plodding along, if you will, and he came in and gave them huge juice injection. Second thing I want to talk about is Armando and RJ. Now, RJ finished with 22, game high 22 points. 17 came in the second half. And the reason that was important, they didn't need his 17 in the second half to win. They didn't need him to score really anything today in order to advance past Wagner. But I think they needed to have a game in which RJ, Armando, and somebody else were scoring, and that somebody else for a stretch in the second half was Cormac Ryan. That somebody else for a stretch in the second half was Jaylen Withers, and then a lot of other guys sort of got involved as the game went on. And I think it was important for RJ to get some of those buckets against the zone, because they faced his zone defense a lot tonight, more than I think than they thought they would, although they thought Wagner might mix in some zone. But this club hasn't played a zone in a while. They haven't faced a team playing a zone in a while. And with Elliot Cadeau kind of struggling, typically Hubert likes to have him in the middle of that zone, but he took him out. And so there was a time when Armando and Jaylen Withers were rotating into the middle of the zone and back down the block. They actually did a nice job. It's a wrinkle I didn't see when they faced the zone up at Syracuse, when Hughes went to it late in the second half of that game. So that was a different wrinkle against the zone. And what's important is I think the Tar Heels really gained a measure of comfort offensively against that zone. And that's what a lot of RJ's shots came. So The points are fine, but it's how he got them and the fact that they worked through dealing with the zone. I don't think they looked smooth at first against it, but they ended up getting shots and they were getting them quicker and they were knocking them down. And the message is sent, go ahead and try to play zone against this team, but they can hit a lot of shots. If you tell them, force them to hit from three, they got dudes that can hit from three. And I thought that was an important part of that game. The other side of the second thing I want to talk about is Armando. It was obvious the Tar Heels go into him right out of the gate. Go into Armando, pounded in there. There was nobody Wagner had that could guard him. And Armando did a nice job getting looks. He missed a few chippies, but he's been missing a few chippies for 5 years. So that shouldn't surprise anybody. But he's able to produce 20 and 15. And what's significant about that is that's 7 straight NCAA tournament games in which Armando has posted a double-double. And it's 6 straight in which he's grabbed at least 15 rebounds. And that's significant because that is a big, big time number. I kind of thought for a while he might go 20 and 20, but the lead grew and it wasn't a need to keep him in long enough to go 20 and 20. They will need him to have that kind of game on Saturday against Michigan State, but I don't think Michigan State, after watching them courtside today, I don't think they have anybody that can simply lock down Armando. So him playing well and him being highly involved and the team being uber emphatic on getting everything through the post early was important. It was a game plan and it was executed. In fact, I think they had 3 of the first 22 shots were threes. And then Wagner goes zone and Carolina starts shooting threes, start hitting threes. They got into the lane some. So Carolina was able to go inside, have a lot of success with a guy who's done it a million times. And then when Wagner tried to take that away, Carolina was able to do a lot of stuff on the perimeter with a guy who was ACC Player of the Year doing his thing and getting some help. So the Tar Heels checked every box they needed to check today from an execution and recognition standpoint. They weren't always pretty. They had some ugly stretches. They were throwing the ball all over the place early, but they still did more than enough to feel good about the performance moving forward into the second round against Michigan State. Last thing, what this means. What it means is the Tar Heels keep playing. They're 28-7 now. I think that they cut the cord to DC. I asked a couple of players in the locker room if there was a measure of relief in a sense that the tournament was here. And I got a yes answer. And I think part of, going back to DC, when you look at a lot of these 1 seeds not winning their major conference tournaments, they know the bigger enchilada is just almost within reach. And I think that the more inspired and needy and desperate teams have done really well in some of these conference tournaments. And Carolina went up against a buzzsaw that was as desperate and needy as can be and didn't match the energy and didn't win. And in the end, it didn't really hurt them at all. Didn't affect their seeding, didn't affect where they started in the tournament, didn't affect who else was in their bracket. And now they move on to the second round. And whatever happened last weekend is history. And I will say one of the positive things. Harrison Ingram didn't have a huge game. He has not had a huge scoring game for a while now. So the law of averages, which is a lot, picks up for this team a lot. Law of averages is the thing that this team deals with an awful lot because things tend to recur over time. Maybe Saturday, Harrison Ingram has that offensive game. He did hit a 3 from the top of the key today, which was a good sign. And not a huge rebounding game, but he had a good floor game. And they were getting the production from elsewhere. He's not a guy that's going to force the production, but they might need him to Saturday. And I'm thinking that given how he's performed every 5 or 6 games on those days where they really need him to step up, perhaps he's that guy on Saturday. Maybe it won't be Jaylen Withers. Maybe it'll be Seth Trimble off the bench. Maybe Jalen Washington, who struggled a little bit today, off the bench. Or maybe it's Elliot Cadeau, who didn't play great again today. He's kind of struggled the last 2 weeks or so. Only played 19 minutes today, but when I talked to him, I asked him about the value of just being out there, being in an NCAA tournament environment. Everything about it is so different, and also having to deal with seeing a zone for the first time in a while. And I think he got a lot out of it. I think you'll see a better version of him on Saturday. So what this means is they keep playing. They're 2 wins away from 30 wins. They're 1 win away from the Sweet 16 and heading out to Los Angeles. I think this is a favorable bracket for them. They have to play with the kind of vitality that they played with for the most part today. They're going to have to clean up some stuff against better opponents moving forward. But if they get stuff off the bench from a guy like Withers in what Trimble has done in recent weeks, and if RJ and Armando continue to be RJ and Armando, and you get that third score, That will get them out of Charlotte and into Los Angeles, but we'll hit on all that stuff tomorrow. Jacob and I will do another show tomorrow, and he will be here Saturday for the second round game. So he will do the three things with me then as well. So hope you guys are here for that. If you like the fact that the Tar Heels advanced to the second round of the NCAA tournament, go ahead and click like on this video. Make sure you let your Carolina Tar Heel friends know that we're here if they don't, so they can hop on board and subscribe to our channel. Hit that notification bell every time we upload a video, which you guys know is a lot. And as Tar Heels continue to win in the NCAA tournament, we are going to pump it out like crazy. And make sure you go to our site, tarheelillustrated.com, for 1 year sub. It's just at $8.33 a month, and you get a ton more stuff than we ever give you on these videos. I'm AJ. Thanks for stopping by.